Alright, welcome back, guys. So today I'm going to be starting on the floor pan on my 1967 Mustang. As you can see, I went ahead and got all of the carpet already out, the seats out. So this is it. A little bit about what we're working with is there's some sound deadener and a whole bunch of fiberglass. So this is all fiberglass. Right up through here is fiberglass. I can, well, there we go. Just rip that out. Yeah, that's safe. Let's see here. Well, at least it does feel somewhat solid. So, I think that's right on the frame rail. And then I do have new seat platforms coming in, new plugs, drains, all of that. So I got the two-piece floor pans, the ones that kind of go up on the driver and passenger side. As much as I would have loved to have done the one piece, I don't have a way to really brace a car all that well. So my thought is if I just do one side at a time, I can still keep it braced in general. So I'm going to go ahead and get those pieces out of my truck. As always, I got them from Maryland Mustang. Dan over there is always hooking me up. If you guys need anything, check them out. Typically, they use deadening, so all those parts so far have been pretty dang good overall. Really no complaints. So what I'm going to do is go grab those, lay it out, and we'll kind of get going from there. Well, I was going to get started there, but I realized that I forgot to take measurements of anything. So some things I'm going to be taking measurements for are these rear mounting holes for the seat belt. I'm going to get a point of reference for the front of this seat platform. The new floor pan has the provisions already cut out and a little bit of wiggle room, but I'm going to go ahead and get that measured off a point of reference. And yeah, get those measured up, get that guy. I don't think I'm cutting that off. Let's see. Yeah, so I shouldn't even be going up that high. Or actually, I think I do right here. See, there's an indent there? Yeah, it probably is an indent. So yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out a point of reference for that guy. This one over here as well. They went down below it. Yeah, so for the other side of the seat belt, this actually tucks the, wow, camera angle. They tuck this down below, so I'm gonna do that as well. It looks like, I'm imagining, nope, they are this hole here and that hole, they are offset. So I'm gonna grab measurement on that guy, measure on these floor pans. But as you can see, floor pans, they are gonna be pretty easy. They already have the provisions and everything, so that one I'm not too worried about exactly getting it perfect. So yeah, I'm gonna go make a video, getting some measurements. You guys don't really need to see that, it's not fun. And then I will keep the video for myself, and then we'll move on to cutting stuff. Went ahead and got everything measured up, so I'm ready to go there. One thing I did notice, looking at this new floor pan, this edge here flips down. If you see on the ones that are installed, try and get a better camera angle for you there. These edges flip up, so I'm gonna have to flip mine up. Dan told me it's convertible. That's one of the big differences, so it has more clearance for the inner rocker. Convertible has beefed up inner rockers for safety reasons. So I'm just either gonna bend these up when I get there, which I think I'll be able to do, or just weld it from the bottom side of the car, which wouldn't be that bad. But if I could do it inside the car instead of laying on my back all day, I might do that. All right, I'm gonna get you guys set up on the passenger side, and we'll go ahead and start a time lapse. All right, sorry about the not working there, guys. I just had a guy stop and wanted to know everything about the Mustang. He loved it, and he said, "That's all you're filming, man. You gotta let me know. Yeah, I want to see it." So That's pretty cool. He also let me know of another old Mustang that he saw sitting somewhere, so I might have to be running over there soon. Maybe once I get this one pushed along the way, and maybe even trying to scoop up another one. He wasn't sure on the year exactly where it was at, but he's a Corvette guy, but he said he still loves seeing these classics. So sorry about that, but that's just pretty cool. Getting stopped and people wanting to know your YouTube and stuff, so that's pretty cool. So thanks to him. I won't disclose his name, but thanks to him, he knows who he is. With that, we'll get back to it. Hopefully getting this floor out. Okay guys, this is where we ended up for the night. Got almost everything out. Still got a little cleaning up to do up there and a little bit of cutting out with the firewall, but not too bad. It was definitely more difficult than I thought. Whew, went through so many blades with the grinder. It's like, I think I got a couple left, so I'm going to go get some more. And then, yeah, really just working with the floor support and the cross member. Surprisingly, everything looks really good. I am going to patch the front torque box in that corner. I kind of hit it a little bit, and it honestly seems much more solid than I would have thought based on looking at it. So I'm going to just throw a little bit of metal on there and kind of check the whole thing, but it honestly was much better than I thought. Still got to go through, grind all the edges down and everything, and then get marked out so I can get the plug welds marked out so I can go into the frame and that cross member. Really happy with progress today, but it's getting a little bit late and I got a lot of cleaning up to do. As you can see, tons and tons of grime inside that frame rail, and then there's that torque box right down there. So it looks really rusty, but the issue is whenever they did the fiberglass, it trapped water underneath. So when I was beating around on it and actually scraping some of it off, it actually is very good metal for the most part. So plan is not to replace that, clean it up really good, coat everything with some Eastwood. They're like a frame coating and everything to prevent future rust. And then I am still going to have to cut out back here, but I wanted to leave plenty of room to play with. So that's going to be it for tonight. I'll be back on it. It's probably tomorrow. So I just went down and made a run over to my local Eastwood. Got some brushable seam sealer because I don't have a spray gun or anything for the seams for the trunk and the floor pans that we are doing. And I just got some more weld through primer. I use that on everything just because it has some of that zinc in there to help bond everything a little bit more. You guys can see I did get my seat pans in today, platforms, and then my patch for my quarter. I will make a separate video if anybody's interested, but that quarter patch is I can't say I'm too happy with it. Fitment is just awful to even get it somewhat close. You can see there, I mean, I got plenty of room, but then it's tight up there. So I mean, this whole bend is gonna have to be rebent. It doesn't have any of the provisions for like the rear valance, the holes. And then up here, because I don't really have a body line to go off of, I kind of just am guessing and trying to get it flat. So it should be something about that, but then even that curve isn't really all that great. I taped it up there just because I was excited. I really thought that was going to be a quick, easy win, but it's not at all. I watched Joe Daddy's Garage. He actually took that and didn't even use it. I wish I would have watched that first. He bought a whole quarter and then he just cut out the portion that he needed. But we're going to be focusing on the floors. So my last video, or previously yesterday, I got a lot of this cut out. I still have to do a little bit more trimming, a little bit more grinding tonight, and then take a couple measurements for everything to make sure I have everything where it needs to be. And then at that point, I'm going to grind everything down and you know, throw some of that weld through primer on everything and weld it on up. So right now everything's actually looking really, really good. Very happy with the way that all of it is working and fitting. Zoom out really quick. There we go. So I do need to hammer and dolly up there, bring it nice and flat. But as you can see, have a really good line. Everything is almost fitting perfect. This transmission tunnel is very, very strong and rigid. So I'm using that to kind of set my line because I trust where that is. So I may have to close up that gap a little bit before I do weld it. The one section that I am going to have to work with here is the back portion. I didn't cut enough off, which was kind of on purpose. All right, I can't get that out. It's tight fit. I'm going to have to get both hands to pull that out. So I do need the clearance. You know, this little square right through here before I can get my lines and measure everything. But that's fitting exactly where the other one is, so that's good to see that it is fitting rather well. I do need to go back in and trim up the lip from these seat platforms. I'm sure that's not going to help with fitment. And then there was another piece I had to trim. I don't exactly remember where, but yeah, we'll get to that. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this guy out and get to grinding. I'm probably not going to do a time lapse or anything on this because it's just going to be another struggle to cut some of this off. I am going to take my grease pencil, mark out where this one fits along this back portion because I'd rather have a little bit more to weld to. So probably going to cut it around in here about halfway through. Yeah. Oh, the other thing is because these I think are made for convertibles, so the lip against the inner rocker actually flips down. So I'm going to have to weld that from the bottom side of the car. So these three sides here, I will be welding from the top side of the car. And I'm planning on stitch welding, not plug welding. Stitch welding the whole thing all the way across. And then I will be moving down, tacking it a couple places down underneath. And I'll do that probably last, finish that up. But alright, we're going to get going. And I'll pick up the camera whenever we are kind of done getting everything cut out and grinded and getting ready for welding, and kind of report back anything that I did find. Okay, so I just clearanced out this whole section here with my grease pencils kind of marked out until I hit that rear torque box frame rail, I think, where it connects right in there. That's very, very thick metal, so I'm just going to clean it all up and use some of the Eastwood rust encapsulator that I have. Gonna be doing grinding out the front of that frame rail right through there, getting all that off, hammering, dollying it, vacuum out all of the crap that you can see has made its way in the frame, even though it's actually very solid, no rust. So really glad to see that. So I'm gonna vacuum all that out, vacuum out where that torque box is, and then might throw a patch right where that hole is on that front torque box. I think I have some spare metal sitting around, but the front of the floor pan should cover that. So I think if I just get that Eastwood rust encapsulator all up in there and then just weld to it, I should be all right. So after that'll happen, after I grind down the rest of that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the floor pan, fit it back in, mark my hole for my seat belt, which is right there, and then get it nice and flush, and then mark my lines for my front floor support frame rail, and then the cross member right there. So it should be pretty simple. Fortunately, I got to crawl under the car, and you can see it's just, that's all the rust and crap that came out from cutting this floor out. It's just not going to be fun. Just is what it is. In the future, I'm going to be looking at adding subframe connectors from the front to the rear. I think I'm just going to go with some from CJ Pony Parts, their generic set that they do have. unless Dan over at Maryland Mustang has some, I'll order from him. I've never had any issues with CJ Pony parts, even returning stuff right online that people have had issues, so I can't really speak to that. I just prefer going with Dan over at Maryland Mustang because there's nobody better in the game when it comes to customer service and standing by their product and always trying to make things right even if they're not. So can't recommend them enough and really like to support them, especially since they're local to me. But I'm gonna go ahead and get going on this, and I'll report back whenever I make some progress. So went ahead and got that frame rail all kind of done up, and that's floor support. Oh, actually still need to paint that floor support. But I went in with the Eastwood rust encapsulator, matte black. Got that all coated and everything. I am gonna have to grind off the top with some weld through primer, but it was just kind of hard getting it in there. So yeah, next I'm gonna go through with my flap disc, clean up everything as much as I can, get it all nice and flat, and then weld through primer everything, and then same on this side. So the floor should fit right in here. I'm gonna clean up, some of this extra material and everything, and then I'll probably go ahead and weld through primer this entire side too, the rocker, just so it's ready for weld. And then same over here, I got to clean up over here with the grind off wheel all through here and everything, get it all down to bare metal, and then primer it all with weld through, that way it's good to go. I got to clean up that section right there. Gonna have to clean that up, see how bad that rust is. Doesn't look bad, but I might hit it at least with a wire brush or something. So yeah, just a lot more grinding, so I'll update you guys when I get done. So the update here is we went ahead and got everything grinded down. As you can see, everywhere I'm going to be welding all the way up and around. I still got to clean up with there a little bit, and then all through the bottom, about the bottom inch or so. Yeah, so now I'm going to go ahead and throw some weld through primer on everything, and I got to recoat that floor support. I haven't done that yet. And then I'm going to let everything sit, because it's looking like it's about to storm. So I'm going to do that, and then if it's not storming, I'll go ahead and throw that bad boy in and mark out my stuff for measurements, because I can always cut or drill the holes for that, anywhere. So gonna get going here, and I'm not gonna film because I'm gonna try and beat the rain that's supposed to start, I think, in like 15 minutes. So I went ahead and got the rest of the floor pan kind of supports and everything grinded down, and I added in all the primer, as you can see. So everywhere's primed, ready to go. Metal is much better condition than I thought it was going to be, especially these rockers. Based on some of the welds, I think they may have been touched before. I think this car underwent a restoration at some point in its life. Just kind of based on what I'm seeing under there and the quality of some of it, and then quality of some other things. They don't seem consistent. Some things seem really well, then some other things definitely don't seem well. But hey, that's how these cars are. They're a little bit older. For sure, they're a classic. I'm sure somebody spent a lot of time on it, working on their garage, and the quality of reproduction parts and the access to all the knowledge that we have today probably just wasn't available then. So, hey, no worries. It's in my hands now, so I'm going to keep giving it a good shot. I think it's a little bit easier with some of these modern technologies and replication parts to get it a little bit better. So, everything's all primed up. I'm going to go ahead and slap the new piece on in there. You can see we got rain coming in, so I'm gonna call that a good stopping point for the night. So when I come back in tomorrow, I can just mark everything out on the new floor pan with my grease pencil tomorrow morning, drill everything out, and then should essentially just be able to weld it in. So it shouldn't take too long. Pretty excited to get this side done, and then I'll have to run over and get some more cut off wheels, because I blew through so many to get all this out. Also, when I fit this up tomorrow morning, if it's not raining, and I can cut out a little bit more of the stuff I'm going to, I do think I need to trim all through there a little bit. I think there's a little too much material, so I'm going to see what that looks like from the bottom side tomorrow, and probably continue to kind of trim fit maybe grind a little bit more, but pretty happy with how it turned out. Again, this isn't a perfect restoration show car, so for the driver quality that I want it and to look really good, from a few feet away, definitely not be perfect. I'm happy with it. I'm really happy to see that it is coming together rather well, and that at the end of the day, I'm gonna have a ton of pride and a huge attachment to this car with all the work that I have put into it. So yeah, all I'm gonna do is throw that up in the where it goes, and then tomorrow morning I'll go ahead and fit it, and we'll go from there. So that's it for today. Only had about 2-ish hours or so to work on it. I think if I had a better cutoff blade, I could probably get this done a little bit quicker, and a better way to get off all of the undercoating material that is on there. That crap, it just eats through cutoff wheel blades, and there's just no good way really to get it off other than sitting there going over it about 1,000,000 different times with your cutoff wheel and finally getting down to bare metal. So I did have somebody ask how come I don't just weld bare metal to bare metal. That's just personal preference. I know you can, and then you can go back over and prime. Throw some primer on after you weld. For me personally, I want to go ahead and protect as much as I possibly can from all angles. So I use this weld through primer. As I've spoken about before, from Eastwood, it has zinc in it, so it should actually help adhere and bond and puddle up just like your weld will. But then everything at that point is coated if you can't get back in there. So that's the route I'm taking. But other people take different routes, but that's just how it is. We all do it a little bit different. So, but that's it. Pretty happy, and I'll get back at it tomorrow. There in the time lapse, I had a neighbor stop by that I haven't met yet, and he wanted to know all about the car. So he actually specializes in car audio, so he offered to lend me a hand. That'd be pretty cool if we end up working together. But anyway, so I got everything in. As you see, based on some of the mistakes I made on the trunk floor, not having everything as flush as it should have been, and having some of the fitment issues with actually hitting the plug welds, we got everything lined up much better. So if I push down here and get it flat, I'm at the position a little bit, but I mean, we are golden. I mean, that's fitting perfect there. Unfortunately, I don't have a weight to keep it down, so I was pushing down on this side with my right hand, and then pushing down on my left side with my left hand. And as you can see, all that gray, that means I'm actually on the frame rail this time. Unlike last time, where I missed a whole bunch of the plug welds that I drilled out for the trunk. This one went much better. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go through, I plan on basically stitch welding the entirety of the perimeter of the piece, and then really going from there. So I'm gonna go ahead and grind down the perimeter of the floor pan, and then the little lip that goes up against the inner rocker, and then obviously where the plug welds are going to go, I'm going to grind down both sides and weld through primer both sides. And then after that, I'm going to go ahead and throw a few self-tapping screws in, just to get everything nice and lined up. I'm going to have to get something over here and then something on this inner rocker to pull everything nice and tight. So we're making progress. Gonna whip out the grinder. I'm sure you guys don't really want to see that, so I'm gonna go ahead and put you on a time lapse afterwards once I get everything grinded down, primed, and then I'll kind of come back when everything's ready to get welded. Today's build brought to you by Monster. Thanks, Monster, for not sponsoring my video, but I love your product. All right, just let this dry for a couple minutes. I ran over to a little, corner store, grabbed a Monster for me, get some caffeine, keep it going. Just gonna flip this guy over, spray the other side, and then start getting it welded in. Got the underside shot here with the weld through primer. So one of the things I wanted to share with you guys, something that I saw online, maybe YouTube, I honestly don't remember, but it just seemed like a good practice. So I followed it. Going through all the holes, plugs, anywhere, going ahead and priming those. While it does have this like E-coat coating that's black or whatever on it, I went ahead and primed all of them from the bottom side, and then I will be painting it obviously from the top. So trying to get in there and get all those little like ledges from where it was stamped out, all the little holes and everything. That way hopefully it doesn't have any rust get in that plug right behind it. While I'm here, I'm just gonna go ahead and throw down a little bit more primer, in my opinion, just hopefully trying to keep it as protected as long as possible. And then I did go through and kind of just throw some primer on some random scratches from shipping, but it looks like I missed some. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the primer back out and spray some of those, kind of like these little scratches and stuff right here. I do plan on getting these undercoated and doing that, but might as well prime it now. And then if I have to sand it off later, I'll have to sand it off later. So I'm actually gonna grab that, spray a little bit, double check that there's no other scratches anywhere else, and just try and get everything protected as much as possible. So I will update you guys when I get fit inside the car before I start welding, and probably throw a time lapse of me welding this guy in. So I wanted to go ahead and show my welds just so everybody can see that, well, I'm not that great at it, but it's very strong. So this is kind of when I started stitch welding over here. See, they're a little high, making good contact, really getting a good penetration kind of through there as well. This is when I started to try and do a run. It's very dirty weld, this MIG. So not that great. It was very quick, but definitely does not seem as good for me versus doing like some stitch welds all the way through. That just takes some time. So I need to get up in there a little bit more and get that going along with the frame. I just wanted to get the vast majority of the back end at least into place, and then I'm gonna get the front end now, focus up there and on the frame. And then my plan is to come back through. This is still a little high back here, along with this section. All this is decent, but still, I could probably throw a few. I could probably throw a few welds in through here, but not here. This is a little too much of a gap. So then I'll come back in with my hammer and dolly. Well, probably just my hammer. Kind of beat it down and get it shaped and massage it into place. I did have to go through, and there's actually a provision right here. I believe that's for the center console, and it kind of protrudes out. So with that protruding out, it did kind of throw me off. So I did have to try and fill welds kind of right in that area. Did okay. I do plan on going back and trying to hit that again. Let those welds kind of cool down, maybe layer it. I'm not even sure if layering welds is a thing, but that's what I'm going to try and do. And then after I get it in, I do have some brushable seam sealer, just some gray. So I think it is up to, I think it said like 1 inch or 2 inches in diameter. And for lap and flange seams and joints, permanently flexible, not crack, shrink, harden, or sag, and also holds a perfect brush mark. Yeah, I think it said like 1 inch, maybe 2 inches is like your surface area that you really want to work with. So I'm gonna go ahead and paint that on. I'll take a some painter's tape and kind of mark out about 1 inch. It won't be perfect, but you know, that'll be covered. And then I plan on undercoating and sound deadening the entire interior of the car anyway. So just gonna throw that guy on hopefully today, maybe get this whole entire side done. Actually, I'll probably wait until I get that side done to move forward. So yeah, I'm just gonna get back to welding. I'll report back when I have anything else to show, but I'm gonna try and not make this a super long video, even though it already is. So I'm gonna cut back on the time lapses and kind of update when I'm done. So here we are after I've been welding for a couple hours, and a couple neighbors stopped me and end up talking with them. So everything's coming together really well in general. Having a lot of issues where it meets up on this inner rocker. Had to like bridge some of the welds because that flap is angled down. It's kind of poking out a little bit like this, so it's, you know, I already welded all this stuff in, so I can't quite like get behind there and bend it back flat and then get in there and get it. So I have to kind of beat on it on the underside, tried putting some self-tapping screws in there, but it's just been a freaking struggle. So we are getting close, but I'm gonna take a break because it's, I think, about 90 degrees outside, and finally the sun just got covered by some clouds, so it's actually a little nicer right now. But I'm gonna take a water break, probably eat some lunch, get back to it. Everything is really sturdy, so I'm glad to see that. It's just not finished yet, so still need to finish up actually welding the frame. Kind of forgot about that, so I'll get back to that shortly, and then I'll jump back over to the inner rocker because that thing has just been not fun. As you can see, I've been driving to some self-tappers, kind of helping, and then using not even a hammer and dolly, like my regular, you know, like framing hammer, to try and get that flat. So yeah, that would be my biggest takeaway, is holy crap. I think on the next side I'm gonna flip the thing up, because it's been pretty miserable. Or start with the inner rocker and then, you know, make it up on the trans side if need be. So that's an update. All right guys, so we got it all welded in finally. Not, like I said, I'm not a welder, so, but jumping up and down, moving the whole car, seems solid, so I'm gonna count that as a win. Say it's good. I am gonna go back on the underside. I did add some flat stock to the inner fender well right there. That way I had something a little bit better weld to grip onto. That area was just giving me problems. So I'm gonna go back under the underside now, weld up any parts of the frame they're touching. That way they're plug welded and welded down there. And the same with anything along this rocker. But alright, here it is, all finished up. I'm going to go ahead and move to the other side. I'm not going to video that side, it just goes quicker if I don't have to video. I'm going to try and have this done next couple of days. So all in, it took me, was it about 2 days after work to cut this out, probably 4-ish hours, and then basically a full day welding and getting everything lined up. So we'll see you in the next one. So I forgot to film the seat pan. It just went right in. I had my measurements, and then I also just made sure it's parallel with that side. I actually missed the ledge cutting out on this side, so when I actually was able to mark it, I actually saw that I had exactly where the other one was. So I got pretty dang good with my measurements. Everything's looking good. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw some black paint on it now. I think I just got some roll bar and chassis paint, so I'm just gonna paint this side, vacuum it out first with my little vacuum, and throw some paint on there and call it good. I do have the plugs for it as well. Oh yeah, I have to fix that little piece right. I had to cut a relief cut. So with that that lip sitting down, I just could not get it to fit against the firewall. So I cut that relief cut in there and everything fell into place, but now I got too big of a gap for me to weld. So some things I learned, as always, I need to probably get better clamps. Issues I keep running into is trying to build weld up. I got decently okay with it on the frame rail, where I was able to get most of them with kind of doing a build-up process, kind of going in a circle for like 1 Mississippi, and then kind of pulling up, and then kind of doing that a couple times. Letting it sit, hit another one, hit another one, hit another one, come back and do that a couple times. That seemed to actually work. I'm still not super confident in my welding abilities, which is crazy because I just did a whole bunch today, and I actually felt like I did really well with actually getting proper penetration and stuff. And these haven't been wiped down, haven't been cleaned, nothing yet. So, and I tried running a bead a couple times on the seat platform just cause, and it worked out kinda. I definitely don't think I'm right, and it's not getting good penetration, so I had to go back and add kind of these spot welds in. Yeah, this is a CJ Classic piece. Unfortunately, my boy over at Maryland Mustang didn't have this one in stock, so it was just quicker for me to order it from them. And it fit rather well. It's their weld through primer version, and I didn't even think about it until I got over halfway done, and I didn't grind down the black like coating this is on, and well, it's too late at that point. It was already in place, sitting where it was going to land, and I just kept going with it, and it seems as if I didn't have any issues. So this thing's solid. I don't know if you can see the whole car moves, so I'm feeling pretty confident that I did get proper welds with that. So pretty happy overall. It took all time I already mentioned, and I got a little bit left for the day, but it's just so freaking hot that I'm ready to call it quits for the day. I do have a welder local to me. He is I contacted him, and he said that he only lives a couple blocks away, that he was going to come over and check out my welds. I was going to pay him to come over and check out everything, but honestly, I've been jumping up and down on stuff, and the more and more I do it, I'm feeling more enough confidence to just let it go as is. So plan is, moving forward, paint this whole side. I'm going to do the other side off camera. It's just quicker, and then I do it all on my phone, so it gives me a chance to actually listen to like a podcast. Well, at the rate I went, a couple podcasts or some music, instead of just kind of sitting out here with my headphones on in silence. And then after I get done with that, I'll paint that side as well, and then my plan is going to be to sound deaden the entire car. I have the same stuff I used on my doors. It was yeah, my door clips are broke. You can't see it in there. It's like Silas. It was off of Amazon. I think it's like 80 mil thick. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the whole floor pan with that to cut down on any of the noise and everything. And then after that, I'm gonna be working on, I think, sanding the car and getting it ready for paint. So plan there is to coordinate with a local shop to me, just 2 hours away. They do quite a few Mustangs. I want them to do the cowl. I just don't want to do it. I don't throwing in the towel on that. Yeah, I just got to know your ability. Same with the rear portion here. I don't want to do that either. And then this quarter panel, so they can figure that out. I did buy a patch. I'll give it to them, but holy cow, this quarter panel patch is absolute hot garbage. I'm actually gonna probably go and write a review on CJ Pony Parts to let people know, don't buy it. It's not a knock on CJ Pony Parts. It's just how it's manufactured. So they didn't do anything wrong. It's nothing on them. I want to make that very clear. It's just their distributor, the way it's manufactured, it just sucks. So yeah, that's where we're ending this one. I can do a more comprehensive review over everything that I've done to this car, and I am gonna eventually take all the random videos and pictures I found and probably just do a voiceover before I start the YouTube channel. So, all right, well, I'm gonna keep getting to it, and I'll be back in the next one. Okay, so I was done with the floors, but I want to go and post an update video. One of the biggest issues I had was getting the floor down to the cross member that had frame support. I had probably 1 or 2 plug welds, maybe a couple more than that on it. That was it. So I looked around online, and I tried every clamp I had, using sheet metal screws and stuff. So what I ultimately decided to do was to go ahead and just kind of beat the floor down with my hammer here. So now there's a divot. I don't know if you can see. That was nice and flat. You can see it kind of goes down now with the shape of my hammer on both sides. And what that allowed me to do is to really get some plug welds in there. I think I just did like, there's 4, there's about 5, and then another 4. So it's about, you know, anywhere from 10 to 15 probably plug welds in. And then I just kind of did that along up there in the front too. I think I got like another 3 or 4. I did about another 1.5 inches, I think it was. So I just really wasn't happy with it. The more that I was kind of sitting and thinking about it, I was like, man, I just, you know, really want to make sure it's safe. And I was looking around on the Mustang forum, and it seems to be kind of a common problem. And since I'm not going for, you know, a crazy show quality car, I decided if I just kind of beat that stuff in and weld it in, I'd rather have a divot through there, because it's all going to get seam sealed and covered with sound deadener anyway. So that was my thought process on it all. I did try going through the bottom side, and I tried jacking the frame rail up, and that really honestly didn't help. So then what I did was I beat the lip or the flanges of the frame rail up into the floor. That also didn't really help, but I did weld it on the bottom side from the flanges to the floor. So I sat down, you know, on my back and welded it up too. And I just want to make sure it's all super solid, just because I'm not a welder. So you can see, you know, there's a plug weld, there's another one, there's another one that's not quite all the way. That one I missed the frame a little bit, or it might have burned through. So my welds aren't perfect. I couldn't get that one there on the end, it was just too far. So but I really do think that they are holding pretty dang well. Every time I weld up anything, I jump on it a ton. I jack it with the jack from the bottom side, trying to go against the welds to try and get it. And on the passenger side, on the back there, when I jacked it up, I mean, that whole corner came out with those welds. So redid it, rejacked it up and everything until it was good to go. And everything seems solid. I am going to be jumping over to the passenger side now. That's for a later video. But plan now is to do the same thing on this side, which sucks because the paint and everything's really good. And I had a whole bunch of nice plug welds all the way through. So I'm going to grind off in here and here. Oh, it was the passenger side. Yeah, the passenger side I had none. You can see none of these are hitting that cross member. So wasn't too happy with it, and I think that's because of the lip that this thing has on it. This aftermarket piece is just pushing it up. If I could go back, I would have cut that lip all the way around off. As you saw in the one video, I was having a lot of issues with this one. So I had to go in. I actually learned kind of how to bridge welds all through here. And I don't grind them down because they're going to get seam sealed and covered with sound deadener and everything. A couple holes from sheet metal screws to hold everything together. So, you know, not perfect, but definitely holding pretty dang good for sure. It's, like I said, I jumped up and down on it. I brought the jack over, jacked it up every which way. And then I also welded some stuff from the bottom as well, from the frame. So it'll be easier to show since I don't have the jack. But you can see I went ahead and welded in there as well. But that's kind of my problem area, so I'm going to beat down on that. All through here is actually really good. It's up there where you get close to that cross member. And then I still need to go out. I didn't cut off enough of the floor. Where's the old floor? Yeah, right in there. I'm going to cut some of that off and weld it. So that's it. The passenger side. Like I said, I have a divot now kind of right there, and man, it is a lot better. Really on there now. Just got done welding it all up. I am going to go back in and kind of fill in some of these spots that don't quite have the plug weld all the way in. Some of that is slightly due to being off a little bit of the frame and everything, but man, I feel so much better about that now. It's about another 10 plug welds. This side had none on that cross member, and when I beat down the floor support there a little bit, it I mean, they just zipped right up, and those plug welds are better than quite a few of the other ones I've done, for sure. So definitely feeling way more confident. I'm very happy I did that, even though it did all look nice. So yeah, the last thing I got left to do on the floor pans now is to just go ahead and vacuum it all out again, paint it on up, and then I will be adding some seam sealer. Plan is to vacuum up, paint those, spray paint, get some masking tape out here and getting ready for seam sealer. Probably seam seal tonight, and then hopefully next day or so, I do have some sound deadener. Don't know how much I have, but to get started with sound deadening the interior of the car. So we'll see how that goes. I do have subframe connectors on the way and a new cowl, 2-piece cowl. That thing's crazy expensive, by the way. And then I am looking for the firewall. So my firewall is actually in really good shape. But what I want is some type of kind of like a new car, like that metal reflective material that I could put up underneath the firewall, kind of where the headers are. And I think I'm gonna just come in from the bottom side and like do something. I looked online and I found some like stick-on metal, like heat shield protective thing. I'm not too familiar with what it's called. And I think I'm gonna do that just to really try and get heat away from the inside of the car in general. And then I'm also looking at getting some type of hood that has some vents. I think I'm just gonna go with the turn signal hood and get airflow out of the engine bay. This car seems pretty warm running in general. While it doesn't overheat or anything, I do want to prevent all of the issues I've seen online with people idling. That's where people tend to have issues. I'm in Maryland, obviously, given the plate and nose shutting up Maryland Mustang, so mine's not too bad, but I would like to get as much airflow through the car as I can. With being reasonable, I don't have a garage for it, so I don't want anything too crazy, too aggressive. I want to kind of keep it true as well, so I think I'm going to go with the 67 turn signal hood, or 67, 68. So. But that is the end of the floor pans for now. I'll probably post up another video whenever I do the seam sealing and the sound deadener. That piece is for the rear window. That's what that piece is. I just kind of fit it up there to see how it is. Off camera, I'm going to go ahead and finish welding in these little supports here on each channel. This one's welded in already, but I need to get some more metal and fill this hole. And then I'm going to seam seal it. I'm just going to throw down some tack welds and seam seal it. And that is it for the update for now. I do have a couple other videos on the way, and I will keep posting them as I can. So. So we went ahead and finished up the sound deadening in the car. Heather was able to come on out and give me a hand, so pretty happy with how it turned out. I was gonna do a time lapse, but honestly it's just difficult trying to find an angle. Just wanted to knock it out. It was a super easy thing to do. We did have, oh, I don't have my keys on me, but I bought this off of Amazon, and then we used the, it was originally called Kill Mat, and I guess it got rebranded into this. And we used 1, 2, 3, 4, so 5 sheets per side. And then I didn't feel like it was necessary to go all the way up in the back. It's dinner time and late and hot, so I may end up adding some more over the transmission tunnel as well. I'm undecided on that. I want to make sure that I do have some left over for the trunk without having to buy a whole bunch more. So I'm going to see kind of how people are doing online, starting to Google and Facebook, see how people are doing it. I did buy the rollers, which I don't have the keys, so I bought the little rollers. One was about a 3 or 4, probably 3-inch roller, and one was like a 1/4 inch maybe. The bigger roller was awesome. That little one's really good for getting into deep spots and spaces, but it kind of cuts through the sound deadener just because it's so thin. It gets more, that weight isn't dispersed as much. So take a note of that if that's the route you're planning on going. But yeah, really happy with how it turned out. As you can see, we did pretty dang good. I mean, it's just you stick it on and roll it on, so nothing too crazy. At first I was trying to get everything all lined up perfectly, and then I was like, you know what, carpet's gonna go over it, so let's just get it done. We got about a little over 60 days left for our wedding, so I want this car to, you know, be a little bit further along in the process before then. It is our getaway car, so I'm hoping, all right, I'm hoping that we can get it painted before then. There's not going to be too many more videos coming out, I think, of me working on the car. This is a little bit of an turning point for me. I am not going to do the cowl. I just don't want to do it. I think I can, but with my timeline and everything, and the fact that that sets the gaps for the windshield, the hood, the fenders, I would much rather, and it's actually a very structural piece of the car. I think I'm going to turn that over to professionals. They can probably knock it out in, you know, a quarter amount of time it would take me. And, you know, given the fact I am on timeline, I think I'm just going to turn it over to them, unless it's outrageously expensive. I am going to be contacting them tomorrow and get an idea. This weekend I probably won't have any time to work on the car, so I think the plan is tomorrow I'm going to go get a drum sander, one of those orbital like drum sanders with some 80 grit, and I think I'm going to start going to town with trying to get all of the blue paint off. I actually might even run over there tonight, honestly, and have it ready for tomorrow. But yeah, start getting all the blue paint off, everything done. I'm hoping to have that done in a couple days, and then just using some Eastwood of that roll-on primer. Yeah, let's see, I still will have to do this piece here. Again, I think I'm going to turn that over to professionals. It just sets the body gaps and the lines too much in order for me not to be able to do it. I'm going to have them take a look, obviously, at my gas cap. Something's weird. It won't turn anymore. It's like stuck on the metal on the taillight panel. It's very difficult to get off. And as you can see, I think I showed it earlier, it's rubbing really bad. So I don't know if this piece is slightly thicker, if I need to like bend these out or what. So I'm gonna have them take a look at that. I'm also wanting them to address the quarter panel. I did buy the quarter panel patch, but it's junk. Don't buy it. It's not even close. It's not even worth it, honestly, that piece. Let's see. Yeah, so plan is to get in contact with a local place to me, a couple hours away. They've done a lot of Mustangs. Yeah, I think I need a new door hinge. I'll let them figure that out. But I'm gonna contact them and have them come out, check out the car, and pending, you know, how much they want to charge and everything, working with them, I mean, I'll probably turn in the car right away. So I'm gonna make a list, some things that I need. I need a grill, lower valence. I want to keep the stock valence, but I think what I want to do is trim it, kind of like the Shelby. So kind of just follow that line and trim the stock one. All the ones that have a nice big opening there are fiberglass, and I honestly just don't want any fiberglass on this car. Yeah, all my fenders and everything are good. Sand those down. I'll get new emblems. That's nothing. Same with taillight bezels. Chrome around the wheels and tires. I don't necessarily care about that. And then I still do have my CJ Pony Parts subframe connectors. I still do need to install. And I think that's the last thing I got. Sanding CJ and the subframe connectors. Then ordering the hood vents. Yeah, so my car is going to live outside, so I did have a question for all you guys that have this water going down in here, especially because you can see the battery. So I'm a little worried about that, to be honest. I don't know if I can get something under there, a little tray, weld something up. I don't know. So if anybody has any recommendations, let me know. But that's going to be it for this one. We did put the hood on. Talked about that a little bit earlier. It was pretty difficult to get it lined up as good as we got it. It took us probably 30 minutes of trial and error, going back and forth, pushing, pulling, you know, trying to shim it, match it on each side. And we got it to, you know, this point here where it's still cockeyed a little bit this way. I'm obviously being over exaggerating, but it needs to come back a little bit more to the left. And I think it'll be good. Nothing's hitting, and the back portion is actually pretty freaking good. That gap on the back is really good. So I'm going to let the professionals take care of that, getting the door gaps lined up. I think my hinge is bad on the driver's side, which is very, very common. And trunk I got pretty dang good, but it could definitely use a little bit of work. And then the passenger door came out, I mean, awesome. The lines and everything on that are great, so they probably won't have to do much there. And yeah, I'll probably just patch up the antenna. I might just take that out and patch that up myself. So really happy with the progress. It's a black and blue car now, and a little bit of rust. And then I am looking at either getting these wheels refinished as well. They're 04 Mach 1 wheels. I like the look of it because it is, you know, a little modern take on a retro style wheel. I think all cleaned up if they were machined and actually had the chrome. And then if I painted the insides black, I think that would really look really, really good. So I'm going to be potentially looking around for a set, but you know, budget, you know, whatever it allows for. So, but thanks guys. I've been getting a couple hundred views on my videos, so I'll try to keep posting everything I can and keep going from there. If anybody's in the Maryland area needs a hand, let me know. I'm always down to learn and try and help out where I can. I've had a couple people reach out and help me out and suggest some things that have really made it a game changer. So I appreciate all of them. All right, we're gonna keep getting to it. Thanks guys.